In today's class we're going to be looking at keeping the length in the lower back and the torso. So we're going to start off with by doing just a quick warm-up, upward dog, downward dog. So we're going to use the chair. So have the chair, place it against the wall just for sturdiness. And we're going to just come into the so come at a distance so that when you do upward dog, you can do it like so. In this instance, we're going to work at keeping the lower back and the upper buttocks drawing down. And then you're lifting the lower back ribs up. So it's almost like we're arching the back, but we're opening it up. So lengthening those lower front ribs, the lower back ribs towards the chest, taking the upper buttock flesh or the sacrum or the sitting bones down to their heels. And then lifting the chest. And now keeping that length, come up into the half downward dog and using the core muscles, draw the hips now again away from the shoulders, keeping length in the lower back. Breathe out, draw the thighs back, open the backs of the knees, and lengthen the lower back. Draw the area between the shoulder blades down to the ground. Okay, and then we come back into the upward facing dog. We're just doing it very slowly, but already from here, straighten the body, draw the sacrum, the sitting bones down to the heels, and lift the bottom back ribs up. Lift the chest, and then look up. Now we're going to come back into the downward dog. Initiate the movement now from the hips. So pull the hips back and come into downward facing dog. So we're trying to get a straight line now from the arms up the shoulders to the hip, to the buttock bones, moving those thigh muscles back. Just try and find length. Keep the shoulder blades broad though. And then breathing in, coming forward. Keep the outer buttock flesh moving towards the heels. Lift the lower back ribs up. Lift the chest between the arms. Keep the legs working straight, working so the legs are straight. The inner legs working up to the ceiling. Stretch into the heels. And now breathing out, drawing the hips back. Work from the hips to draw the whole body back into downward facing dog pose. Lift the knees, draw the thighs back. And we're working the triceps muscle that's at the back of the arm down to the ground, the biceps muscle up to the ceiling to broaden the upper back, but then use the hips to lengthen the back. Keep that broadness, but now use the hips to strongly lengthen the back and draw that area between the shoulder blades towards the chest. Deep full in breath, deep full out breath. Okay, now on the next in breath, now we're coming forward again. Keep drawing the hip, the sitting bones down to the heels, the upper buttock flesh down to the heels, and then lifting the lower back ribs up. Lift the chest up. Look up. Keep the legs straight. Stretch into the heels. Should be no discomfort in the lower back. Draw the chest between the arms up. Tighten the thigh muscles strongly. And then breathing out, lift through the hips, the groins pulling back. Take the thighs again back. Just check your feet that they're not crunching, so you're still spreading the feet. You can even lift them off the mat and spread them. But the knees are gripping up, thighs strongly to the bone, and then lengthening the spine. And then now paying attention to draw that area between the shoulder blades down. Without squashing the shoulder blades together, so keep the arms rolling outwards and the chest moving forwards towards the hands. And then we'll do it again, so coming in, breathing in. Now draw the buttock bones down to the heels, upper buttock flesh down to the heels. Keep the legs straight, the thighs working up against the thigh bones. And then lift the back bottom ribs up and lift the chest. Open the chest through the arms. And then breathing out, use the hips to come back into downward facing dog. And then step forward, come up, take a deep breath in and out, and in and out. Take your chair out of the way, but we're going to first come to the floor now. Bring your mat so that it can just gently come up the wall slightly. And then we're going to pin the mat there with our feet, have the feet slightly bent, and then you're going to come towards the wall, have your strap nearby. So now we're just going to take hold of the mat with the fingers, so grip the mat where you're lying, and then straighten the legs. So there shouldn't be much tension in the arms, but it's helping just to draw the skin of the upper back down towards the waist. Now draw the outer shoulders down towards the ground, and that helps to lift and broaden the chest. Keep pressing the feet into the wall, and now you can keep that and just turn the palms to face the ceiling. So we are now in Supta Tadasana. So with the gentle pressure into the wall, the sacrum and the sitting bones moving towards the heels, we lift the chest up. And keep the throat soft. So by drawing the buttock bones towards the heels and the upper buttock flesh towards the heels, it helps open the back and it keeps us from arching the back. Keep the lower front ribs drawing down. Okay, and now imprint this neutral position. We're going to now take these straps and just take a mental snapshot of how the inside of the groins and the inside of the fascia inside the abdomen feels. Because we're going to try to get this back while moving the legs. So we're just going to first of all bend the right leg And then just take the strap around the ball mount of the right foot. Don't lose the pressure of the left foot into the wall. With your leg bent, get the hips to be level. So as we now lift the right leg and straighten it, feel the difference inside the fascia, inside the abdomen. So as we lift the leg, what happens is it draws the fascia down. So we need to lift it. So as we press we're going to draw the leg down, but lift the inner groins, the inside fascia up. And also now you can feel as the leg lifts, automatically the thigh wants to lift to the right shoulder. So we're drawing the fascia on the inside groins down and up. So as you do that, you create space in the abdomen. And now the fascia near the left leg. So the left leg, keep that working by pressing the foot into the wall, and you draw the inner groin, the inner leg down to the ground, and once it's down you draw the outer leg down to the ground. So you're anchoring fully that leg into the ground. And now we take the fascia, which is, it wants to lift. So we draw the inner groin, abdomen inside there, down to the ground, but also now up towards the head. So on the right side we lift it and move it away towards the wall. On the left side we draw it down and towards. So you can see how that, it allows the abdomen to quieten down. And now we just straighten the leg, keep pressing both. It's lengthening both feet away from you, drawing the thighs towards the hamstrings. So the front legs, upper legs towards the back legs. As we do this, you can feel a subtle spaciousness entering the abdomen. Okay, and then release from that. We're going to now come to the left leg. But first we just bend both knees, press both feet equally, and pressing the inner feet towards the wall. Now bending the left leg, take the strap around the left foot. So if you need to get that pressure in that right foot again, move slightly forward and then press it in. We do want that pressure there. It helps to stabilize the whole, what we're working on here, to keep length in the spine. And now straighten the left leg. So just keep the shoulder blades to the ground so that the throat remains soft, so that the chest remains lifted. The right foot is pressing into the wall. And we're drawing the inner right leg down, anchoring it down, and then the outer right leg down. So now we're gluing that area down. And now gently pulling onto the strap. Now lengthen the left leg, the inner left leg down to the ground. And now the inner fascia of the left groin, move it up and away from the left shoulder. And the inner fascia of the right groin, move it down and towards the right shoulder. So now we have a nice spacious abdomen, chest can keep lifting. The right leg is helping to anchor. And now we can gently pull the left leg over, but not by losing any of the spaciousness we have created. Draw the thigh muscles towards the hamstrings in both legs. So the legs can work that the abdomen remains soft and even and spacious. And then release. Again, come into straight, so bend both knees, straighten both legs. Find your Tadasana on the ground. Now we're going to bend the left leg and take the strap around the right leg. And here we can really feel the hips drawing into the ground. But just keep the throat soft, the chest lifted. And then pressing the foot into the strap, allow so you're pressing the ball man up to the ceiling, but then the inner groin down to the ground. So you're lengthening the whole leg up and down. Draw the thigh muscle strongly towards the hamstring. And now bring the right leg over. Because the left leg is bent, we can really give a good stretch. Just work towards what you can do to bring the right leg over. So some people can bring it right over their head. But keep drawing the thigh muscles towards the hamstring strongly. That's where the work must be. Okie dokie. And then release. Bring both legs straight. And now we take the strap, we bend the right foot, we take the strap around the ball mount of the left foot, and then getting the right length of the strap so that you can relax the shoulder blades down to the ground, keep the chest lifted, and keep the hips anchored evenly. So don't allow the left hip now to also rise to the left shoulder. So draw it away from that to keep it equal. And then if you find tightening in the abdomen again, you want to try to create that space. Again, lift the flesh on the inside of the abdomen on the left side up, but away from the shoulder, and on the right side down and towards the right shoulder. Drawing the thigh muscle strongly towards the hamstrings in the left leg. Really lift, open the back of the knee, work those muscles strongly, and then keeping the leg straight, you can slowly start bringing it over the head. Keep the legs straight, keep the thigh muscles working strongly. And then release and come down. So we're coming back to equal, and now we're going to see if we can also now do the sidewards one. I'm going to change around because I don't have space. So we're going to take the legs over sideways. This is Supta Padangustasana number 2. So we take the strap in the right foot again. The strap goes on the ball mount of the right foot. The left leg moved away from the wall. We press it into the wall. And now we take both straps in the right hand, and we take the left hand to hold the upper thigh to draw that left thigh down. Again, both shoulder blades on the ground, the hips are equal. Again, watching the fascia on the inside of the groin, so inside the abdomen to lift it and draw it away from the right shoulder, and on the left side down and towards. And now keeping that and using your left hand to draw the left hip thigh down and the hip down, just take the right foot over to the side. As you take it over, we help draw the outer right thigh into the right hip socket and lengthen the left inner thigh out towards the inner foot. And you go as far as you can But keep drawing the outer thigh in and lengthening the right inner thigh out towards the foot. If it's too much weight, you can rest the belt on the elbow, but draw the left hip down. Okay, and then release. And now we go to the other side. I'm going to turn around. So again, having both feet pressing equally in the ground, first in Supta Tadasana. Get the balance pose. Feel how the abdomen is releasing the space and maintaining that. We now take the left foot up, take the strap around the ball mound of the left foot, and then just checking that we do actually have pressure in the right foot into the wall. And now using your right hand, help press the right hip down. So maintaining the equalness in the hips, draw the left outer thigh away from the left shoulder. And the inner fascia up towards the ceiling and away from the left shoulder. And the right side, the inner fascia down but up. Now keeping that balance in that abdomen, we now take the left leg over to the side. But by drawing the outer left thigh into the socket, so we're really drawing it in and lengthening the inner left thigh. So you're really drawing this in here. Keep the right thigh working down. You can rest if it's too much weight, ultimately we could do it without resting the left elbow on the ground. If it's too much, you can rest it, but really don't then allow that to help with the drawing of the left outer hip socket into the hip and lengthening the left inner thighs towards the inner foot, and then drawing the right thigh down. And again, now the fascia on the inside of the left groin, lift it up. So it's almost like you're moving the outer thigh in and then lifting the fascia up but away from the left shoulder. And the fascia on the right hand side down and towards. So now we're creating that space in the abdomen again. Okay, and then lift the legs, take off the strap, and then come into your Supta Tadasana again. So just lying there, make sure that we've got equal hips, equal shoulders, and feel the equalness in the pose. And now roll to the side and come up. And now we're going to use the chair again. And using those same principles, now we're going to do it standing up. So again, placing the right foot either on the left seat of the chair or on the top rung of the chair. If it's on the top, it's also quite nice to be able to have a bit of pressure against the wall. And then taking the strap around the foot. Just checking now that the left foot is pointing straight ahead, that the ankle and the knee and the hip are in a straight line with the shoulder, and that the right foot is pointing straight up, the right knee straight up, and the two outer edges of the hips are actually in line. So drawing the outer right hip down. And now as if we were lying on the floor now, we draw the shoulder blades onto the imaginary floor and lift the chest up. Try to find the equanimity and the space again in the abdomen. So as we press the feet into the floor and the wall or the seat, or just lengthening the foot away if there's no wall, lift the chest, broaden the shoulders, lengthen into the crown of the head. Again, the fascia on the inside of the abdomen, we draw it away from the right shoulder and towards the right foot more. And on the left hand side, we draw it towards the buttocks and towards the shoulder. So when we do that subtle movement, we find that space in the abdomen. Lift the chest. And then release. And again, now we're just standing in Tadasana first. Have everything equal. Feel the hips, the diaphragm of the hips and of the abdomen and the shoulders stacking equally, and then taking the left foot up either onto the seat or the top rung of the chair. Take the strap around, first of all just check your feet. So look at your feet, they're pointing straight ahead and straight up to the ceiling. You're at the right distance so that the ankles, the knees and the hips are in a straight line. And then taking hold of the strap. But it's a loose grip, we're not reaching forward. And now pressing the feet into the support. Bring the hips level. So draw the outer left hip down. And then lift the chest. Allow that equalness to almost strengthen the sides of the body to help them to lift up, which takes the strain out of it's almost like it relieves the abdomen. It's not pop, but there's no hard tension there. Broaden the chest, lift into the head, the crown of the head. Feel the equalness in the body. So again, drawing the fascia on the inside of the groin forward towards the wall, but away from the left shoulder, and on the right side towards the right hip, but towards the back. And then release and bring the foot down. So standing in Tadasana now, spread the feet, lift the toes so that the feet are spreading, but we're lengthening the toes forward. And as we now press the mounds of the toes, the ball mount of the big toe down, the pinky side down, and then the heel presses down, the inner heel lifts up. That lifts the knees. And we take the thighs strongly to the bone. So as if we're doing that Supta Tadasana, we're drawing those thighs towards the hamstrings. Also drawing the upper buttock flesh now down towards the heels. So it opens up that lower back. And we're lifting the back bottom ribs up, but not the front bottom ribs. The bottom ribs remain contained, but the chest lifts. And the mid-chest actually comes forward. The upper chest towards the throat, to completely relax the throat. And then if we stretch from the outer shoulders down into the fingers and broaden the collarbones and extend into the crown of the head. So although the abdomen is not just hanging there, but it's not that tautness that we taught to draw the abdomen towards the back. There's a relaxed spaciousness in the abdomen. It's more the sides. If the sides lift up, then the middle abdomen and the inside can almost release a bit. But it's not pop, it's not just hanging out there. And then release from that. We're going to come back to the floor again. For this one, we're going to use a blanket. We're going to use the blanket. Just makes it a little bit easier. We'll take it away just now. And then your belt, just have your belt so that you can place the arms inside the belt, but they are parallel. That's about right. Okay. So again, lying down on the blanket, so just make sure that there's enough space for your hands. And the blanket is only on the sacrum. It's just lifting the sacrum slightly. We have our belt. So first of all, we're going to just bend the knees and finding the position so that the sacrum, that's that triangular bone between the two hip bones. So the two hip bones and the sacrum securely resting on the blanket and is equal. So we're just finding that equal angle there. And that is what we want to try to keep. Then we take the belt around the arms, just the wrists, like so, and take the belt overhead. So your feet are in line with your hip bones, your sitting bones. We take the arms both above the head. And now we're using the arms now to lengthen the front of the body up. So the hip bones, the hips and the sacrum remain on the mat and move towards the feet. And as we lengthen now the arms above the head, the front of the body moves up towards the chest. The chest lifts, the sides rib lifts, but we really stretch the arms out. And then from the backs of the arms, it moves back towards the shoulder blades. The shoulder blades move back towards the waist. And now we're just using gentle pressure in the arms to press into the belt, to keep the arms straight and to keep the shoulder joints moving into the shoulder sockets. So as we find that the sides of the body lengthening, you can start releasing and finding that spaciousness again in the abdomen. And we're going to maintain it and then lift both legs up. So now it's easy because the legs are just bent. But already here, draw the sacrum towards the feet, draw the front of the body towards the hands. And keeping that length in the whole body, slowly start straightening the legs. So it's about doing it slowly and keeping the length. So drawing the thigh muscle strongly towards the hamstrings to straighten the legs, to grip the knees. So the knees, we really work those knee joints, grip them. But lengthen the chest away from the pubic bone, into the arms, take the back shoulder blades towards the waist and the sacrum away from the shoulders. And then release the legs, bring them down. So now we're going to take the blanket away so that now the sacrum and the hips rest on the floor. Again, we use the belt to lengthen the arms up. So first find that length in the sides of the body, the side ribs moving towards the hands, the armpits stretching, opening, the chest lifting up, not by arching the back. So to maintain the back and the hips down, we move the sacrum towards the feet. We move the shoulder blades towards the waist. So the whole trunk should feel more or less equal, spacious and contained. And now we want to maintain that, so keep your attention in your whole core of the body, the abdomen. I mean, it's going to tighten a little bit, but try to keep it lengthened. So we still, as you lift your feet, you'll feel it wants to contract from the bottom ribs towards the pubic bone. So mitigate that by lengthening the bottom ribs away from the pubic bone as you lift the knees up. And keeping that length, use the arms to lift the front body towards the hands. Move the back body towards the feet as you lift the knees. So now there shouldn't be any crunching. The back still maintains its space and equanimity. And now we test it further by straightening the legs slowly. So whenever you lose it, lengthen into the hands and then lengthen the sacrum away from the waist as you straighten the legs. So as the legs get straighter and straighter, now use the leg strength. The thigh muscles working towards the hamstrings, gripping the knees. But keep lengthening the chest away from the pubic bone. Lift the feet up to the ceiling, so the inner legs lift and the arms lift. And then bend the knees, bring the feet down. With keeping now that length, you're going to do a slight challenge, even more of a challenge now, but not at the expense of contracting the lower ribs towards the pubic bone. So you could feel as soon as you lengthen it there, the pose changes. It's not this crunching and holding in the abdomen at expense of everything. No. We keep that length there. But okay, so bend the legs, and then first we stretch the arms up. Press the wrists into the belt, which draws the shoulder joints into the shoulder socket, but lengthen the hands away. So the bottom front ribs move away from the pubic bone. The sacrum and the buttocks move towards the feet. The shoulder blades move towards the feet. So the throat remains soft. Lengthen, take the feet on the tips if you need to, but keep that length there. Don't allow it to crunch in. Keep that length there as you lift the feet up. So the knees are still bent. We find that length in the front body moving towards the hands, in the back body moving everything down towards the imaginary feet that are still on the ground. And now keeping that length, we straighten the legs, draw the thigh muscles strongly on towards the hamstrings, grip the knee joint, stretch the feet, the soles of the feet away. And now slowly keeping the length between the pubic bone and the front ribs, keeping the hips down, sacrum towards the feet, bring the feet down 30 degrees. Keep the length in the abdomen, keep the arms moving away, but don't puff up the abdomen. So we're drawing the back down as well, but there's an openness there. Okay, and then bend the knees and bring the feet down. So in this neutral position, again, lengthen the lower front ribs away from the pubic bone, lengthen the arms and the side body up. Keeping that length, lift the feet up. So if you find it shortening and the back is arching, bring the feet down again. Find the length first and then maintain it. And then straighten the legs. Now we're going to come down even lower, but only to where you can still maintain the length. So don't allow the upper sacrum to pop off the ground. It must stay moving towards the feet, the front body, the lower front ribs moving away from the chest and the stretching into the arms. Just slowly come to where you can come to for today. And then release and relax. Take the strap off. Take a nice deep breath in and out. And in and out. And now we're just going to turn over onto our side and we're going to come into the downward dog pose. So to make it easier on the arms, we'll just use 2 blocks, but you can use hands on the mat. But I'm going to use just 2 blocks to lift the hands slightly. This makes it just a little bit easier. And then just before we go up, just check the hands are making the arms parallel to the shoulders and that the fingers are spread. And because we're working on blocks, just make sure that they're adequately spread and stable. Thighs must be parallel to the hips so that the knees are hip width and the feet are hip width apart. So take a deep breath in, and then as you breathe out, come up, bring the hips up into downward dog pose. But now we first come up onto the tippy toes, bend the knees, and we first of all lift the buttock bones as high as possible. Lift them up as high as you can. And then from here, we press the hands, so we're stretching now the hands, like we were earlier, away from the waist. And lengthening the bottom front ribs away from the hips. And now straighten the legs. The thighs working against the hamstrings allow the lengthening so that there's no hardness in the abdomen. There's no softness that is just plopping out. And now we lengthen from the pubic bone to the lower front ribs and then the chest towards the hands. Now we're pressing the hands and moving now the shoulder blades towards the sacrum. And the sacrum, the sitting bones up to the ceiling. And then straighten the legs Move them back. Move the ankles back. Okay. And then release. Come down. Have your feet together, the knees apart. You're going to sit down on your heels. And then from here, just walk the hands forward. So again, drawing the hips, the sitting bones down towards the heels, and then from there lengthening the lower ribs away from the pubic bone, lengthening the chest towards the hands, stretching the sides of the body to the hands. But now drawing the shoulder blades and the sacrum down. So it's lengthening the back. The abdomen is not just hanging out, it is contained, but it's not hard. Okay, and then release. Now we just come to lie on the mat, lie face down. We take the hands, bring them to lengthen up ahead. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just lift the leg up at a time, one leg at a time. But now as we lift the leg, we lengthen the chest away from the pubic bone and draw the upper buttock flesh away from the lower back. So as we lift the leg, we don't want this kind of thing. We want this kind of thing. It's very difficult to explain. Just feel that the sitting bones are moving towards the ground. Drawing, punching the whole pubic bone, the hips down into the ground as you lift the leg. And then you lengthen the chest away. The bottom back ribs move away from the sacrum. The upper sacrum moves away from the lower back. And that we can further accentuate that by stretching into the heels as we lift the leg. When we take the, remember we did in the first class, we moved the front leg forwards. So by moving the leg back, it's almost as if the other leg is coming forward. So we still need to draw it away from the shoulder, whatever shoulder that the lying down leg is, to keep the hips equal. Keep lifting the legs but drawing the upper buttock flesh towards the heel. The lower back ribs away from the lower back. And the thigh muscle strongly towards the hamstring to grip the knee joint, to stretch into the heel. And then come to the other leg. Really find the lift in the leg, but still maintaining the length in the abdomen, in the lower back. There shouldn't be any pinching in the lower back. And then release. Now we're just going to turn onto our back. Have the knees bent. Take a support for the head. And now as we're lying on the ground now, allow the body to find support in the ground. We're not going to be working now, we're going to start cooling off. Allow the shoulder blades to draw into the ground, the outer shoulder down, which opens the chest. Take the hands to the floor and then turn them so that the whole arm turns outwards, so that you're on the backs of the hands. And now draw the thumb side of the wrists down into the ground to open the chest. And then release the arms. Gently lift the hips off the ground, keep the shoulders where they are, and move the sacrum away from the shoulders. And then place the sacrum and the hips down again. And then straighten the legs one at a time. Stretch into the heels. Draw the thighs down. Grip the knees. Lift the chest. And then release. Allow the legs to roll outwards and relax. Allow the arm muscles to relax and release. And then lastly, the abdomen. When you breathe in, broaden the diaphragm. And then when you breathe out, allow the diaphragm, the abdomen, all the contents in the abdomen to soften and melt downwards towards the spine. The lower front ribs, also allow them to drop down. Don't lift them up. Keep them contained. But lift the mid-chest. So on the in-breath, allow the mid-sternum to broaden and open up. The side ribs to lift. And when you breathe out, release the throat, release the abdomen. Release all tension into the ground. And then when you breathe in, again, find that buoyancy in the chest and move the upper sternum towards the throat. This really relaxes the throat completely. Further relax the throat by allowing the tongue to draw into the bottom palate away from the teeth. And then soften the sinuses, soften the eyebrows. Allow the eyeballs to soften and sink, and gently, without any tension, take the gaze of the eyes towards the chest. When you breathe in, there's sometimes a tendency for the eyes to lift and go back up, go backwards towards the skull. Draw them down and make sure that they're dropping down and sinking downwards. And then totally give yourself over to your relaxation. Draw the attention deep into the body. Now as we start coming out of the relaxation, we'll allow the in-breath to slightly lengthen. Allow the attention to become aware of the skin and then also the surroundings beyond the skin. It's just to get ready for action. And then bend the feet one at a time. Take the right hand above the head and turn to the right hand side, resting the head on the arm. Allow the breathing to just return to normal. Then open the eyes and allow a soft focus in the eyes first. And then straightening the left leg, press yourself up to come into a seated, erect posture. Again, finding the length from the lower front ribs, drawing away from the pubic bone. There's a length there. maintaining that length, maintaining the broadness and openness of the chest, extending into the crown, lifting the side body, and namaste. Hope you have a fantastic day.